everybody, Chef Mary Nolan here, and today I'm going to be making a corn salad. I'm still working on the name of it, but I love to use leftovers and figure out new ways to use them, and sometimes when I make sweet corn, I end up with a lot of leftover cooked corn. So I'm going to be making a salad to take to a friend's barbecue, and the first thing I need to do is cut the corn off of the cob. So there are a million different ways you can do this, and I've seen lots of different tips and tricks that you don't have corn all over the place. You could use a bunt pan and kind of stand the corn up like this and shape it down, or if you don't have that, this is just a bowl inside of another bowl, which is how I'm going to do it. And you're just going to prop it up and cut down the sides and let it kind of fall into the bowl, and sometimes it still gets on the counter, but that's okay. So I'm just going to go down each cob of corn, pre-cooked. So this was steamed from when I made sweet corn. I like to just put it in a pot of water. I don't fill the pot of water totally full. I usually put a couple inches in and then have a lid, put my cobs of corn in, and I let it steam for about 7 minutes. So this is, cooled down. We didn't eat all of it. And once you cut all the corn off, this is an important part. There's still lots of flavor in here. So take the back of your knife, kind of rub down and get all the little bits of milky corn flavor off the cob, because this is going to make a nice, yummy, delicious, creamy salad. And then you don't waste any bit of the cob, and you can turn it around if you want to the other side. Okay, so I'm just going to keep doing that with my with all my cobs of corn, and then I'm going to measure it so that I know how much corn I'm starting with. And you can always easily have this recipe or double it depending on how much corn you have. But once I have this all done, we'll come back and mix in the other stuff. I have 5 cups of corn. That's from 8 cobs. So your cobs might be bigger, they might be smaller. So what you're looking for is 5 cups of cooked corn. Cut off the cob. And I'm going to put it back in here. And then to that, I'm going to add onion dip. So stick with me. I know this might seem strange, but this is basically mayonnaise-y, sour cream, oniony deliciousness that's seasoned. So it's just kind of a little shortcut for making your corn salad. And this is a 12-ounce container. But this is just going to make it easier to put together because it's pre-seasoned essentially. If you don't have this, you could definitely use mayonnaise and or sour cream. You're just going to need to bump up your salt and maybe add some chopped scallions. So I'm going to put that whole container in. Give it a stir. Okay, and then to that, I'm going to add some lime juice to add a little zip. So when it comes to lime juice, same thing. Some limes are huge, some limes are not. Some limes are very juicy and some are not. So that's why I'm going to measure this so that I know exactly how much I'm putting in. Otherwise, if you add the juice of 1 lime and I add the juice of 1 lime, but we never measure it, we might have 2 totally different amounts. So in this case, I would measure it. You can always add more once you taste it. I'm going to add a tablespoon of lime juice. Give it a stir. Okay, and then I'm going to add my cilantro and cherry tomatoes. Okay, so next up I'm going to add some cilantro. I really love the brightness, not to mention the color that cilantro adds. And I've talked before about how the stems really have a lot of good flavor. So I remove any stems that are like really big and thick and woody. I mean, even this I think would be fine, but sometimes you see those towards the bottom. But the stems, the nice tender stems, have great flavor, great texture. I would not pull the leaves off. I would just add them. Not to mention it's going to make prepping the salad even easier. Okay, let's see here. So this is probably, I would guess, a half cup. Half cup of cilantro. Put that in. And if you don't like cilantro, because I know some people don't, I would do parsley, chives, basil, something like that. It's a nice tender leaf leafy green. Okay, now some cherry tomatoes. I like adding these at the end so that they don't get all smashed up, but I think they add nice flavor and color to the corn salad. So I like to have these across the equator is the way that I was taught when I did this. So most people have cherry tomatoes lengthwise like this, but I don't know, I like the way they look if you do it the other way. And if they're really big, you can quarter them, but I like to cut them in half like this. Like right across the belly. That sound weird? And then just toss them in. And again, if they're big, make them in quarters. People are just gonna happily be eating this corn salad. They're not gonna worry about how the tomatoes are cut. All right, so now that I've added my tomatoes, before I stir, I'm gonna taste it and see if I think it needs anything else. Which this kind of depends on how flavorful your corn is, your tomatoes, and this way you can adjust it. It's good. I think that it needs a little bit of salt, and I want to put that on top of my tomatoes. So I have my Diamond Crystal kosher salt, as I always have. If you're using another salt, I would not add as much because this is a little less concentrated, but I really like the texture. I'm gonna add 3/4 teaspoon to that. Some freshly ground cracked pepper. I'm gonna add a little bit of smoked paprika because I think that's going to add some nice interest to the dish. Kind of freewheeling this dish, which I do a lot, especially if I'm taking something to someone's house. Okay, so this is 1/2 teaspoon, which I think will be good since it has that smoky flavor. Okay, and then we're almost ready to serve. So I would just mix this up and put saran wrap on top, or plastic wrap on top of the dish until I'm ready to serve. And then I would top it with my queso fresco and my corn nuts, or love corn, as this is called, because I couldn't find corn nuts at the store. And I would do that at their house so that especially the corn nuts, you don't want them to get soggy. So I'm gonna transfer this to my serving dish. You could also add a little more cilantro to the top if you have it. It's certainly not gonna hurt anything. It's just gonna add some more bright color. But I'm liking the onion dip trick because that was really a good shortcut and quite the flavor boost for all this corn. Okay, so put that there. I love queso fresco. It's not quite as salty as cotija, but if you have cotija, use it and you can just crumble it up. This I'm gonna do a small dice on. It's gonna add little bits of textural difference. And I mean, who doesn't like cheese with corn? But I want them nice and small. So I made my matchsticks like this. And this I'm actually going to measure so I can give you an accurate measurement. Let's do it in this one. But this is the kind of thing where if I only had a little bit of cheese left, I would not go out and buy more. I would just use what I have. And this is a cup. See, for some reason that I couldn't eyeball, but other things I'm better at. Okay, so cup of queso fresco, and then the corn nuts. I happen to really like corn nuts in things like salads, and I think they're delicious and crunchy. I bought ones that are seasoned. Let's see here. I got smoked barbecue because I thought the smokiness would be good with the corn. You could use plain. You could use your favorite variety. I'm gonna measure out 1/2 cup. Start there. And again, I would not add these until you are ready to serve your dish. And I'm gonna chop them up a little bit because otherwise it's kind of a mouthful. Mouthful of corn nuts. Oh, they're really good. You could also smash these with the bottom of a pan if that's easier. And I found this way, you just crush them the other way, or with a rolling pin, put them in a plastic bag. Okay, there's a lot of creamy color here, so I'm definitely gonna add a little more cilantro since I have it. You'd even hold back a few cherry tomatoes if you wanted and put those on the top. But see, this makes a huge difference to just see a little bit of color as the first thing you see when you look at it. And now it is time to eat it. This would be delicious with anything. Steak, chicken, mushrooms. So there you go, a very easy salad, a corn salad with delicious creamy onions.